Hey, YouTubers. You guys been all right? Haven't gone on here for a while. I've seen the shaved cat probably 3 times since I said I was going to take a picture of him and put him on here, but he came up next to me when I was working on sprinklers the other day, and I just didn't get a picture. Oops, sorry. I'll take a picture of him as soon as I can. Seems like, I don't know what you guys think, but it feels like the group collective is kind of in shifting mode, right? I was on a podcast with somebody who used to do astrology readings for 10 years. And she kind of had the intuition to kind of shift gears. She moved into something else. Andy, I can't remember her last name. I'll try and send a link. I'll reach out to her maybe this week and see if I can get a copy of the podcast and maybe post it on my YouTube channel. Or just send a link to her podcast. She seems really cool. Somebody very down to earth. We talked about religion. We talked about the Bible. And, in the spiritual community, there's a lot of spiritual people that have been in spirituality for a while that never read the Bible and didn't grow up in Christian churches and kind of think, it's all a bunch of hogwash. And it's true. In a lot of ways, the stuff that gets poured into those religious belief systems are pretty stupid, right? But the spirit of the message of the Bible is pretty much the spirit of the message of every book, especially fictional books. Fictional books tell stories, that come from our imagination that always are usually fall in line with the way state of reality and how things work. I made a post today about kitchens. And I was thinking about kitchens the other day and cooking. How you treat your kitchen it's people talk about, are you in my kitchen or am I in your kitchen? Think of it that everybody is in your kitchen. And you got to set ground rules to how you'll accept people in your kitchen, right? It doesn't matter what kind of relationship they are, friend, family, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. Maybe they're transsexual, I don't know. But if somebody's in your kitchen, then you got to set ground rules, right? And how big's your kitchen? You might have a small kitchen, right? It might not be more room for more than just one person in the kitchen. But, I guess I could read the post I made, but if you're ever in a house and if I'm working in the kitchen, most of the time I would make sure if I was cooking something, I would cook for enough people that were in the house. I want to make sure that people know that I care about them, and then I would cook for whoever's in the house. And a lot of times, you're living with people that don't cook much for themselves or don't clean much. I grew up in a house where mom did all the cooking. I learned to cook for myself because I was just independent anyway, but didn't clean up very well after herself. And so as kids, we didn't get set good ground rules for cleaning up after ourselves because mom and dad didn't clean up very good after themselves. So depending on what kind of household you grew up in, many of us are products of our environment. You've got to teach yourself to do things later or else you're going to pay for it, right? Nobody wants to live with somebody who doesn't clean up after themselves, right? It's a basic thing. I've raised, several kids, and every kid's different. I have to say my youngest, Dylan, is probably the cleanest kid out of all of them. Not super clean, but he likes to be tidy. He doesn't like a messy room, which I appreciate a lot. And will clean the kitchen without needing to be asked. Usually he's not cleaning up after me much. He's cleaning up after my dad. But for the most part, it's nice to have kids that are self-motivated. Let's put it that way. But, depending, if you've got people that don't want to learn how to do something or want to learn how to cook for themselves, or they don't want to learn how to cook for other people or learn how to clean up after themselves, then you've got to set really strong ground rules. You have to set boundaries, right? You say, well, you can still have this little spot here because you live here too, but you need to focus on this little spot because I'm going to have to come and clean it. Because if you don't know how to clean up after yourself, then you're going to have to, this is all you get, right? Spiritually, that's, true pretty much everything. in a lot of ways, that's why we have kind of the systems we do. People had to set strong boundaries, and then felt like other people need to work for them because they had it in their mind that they were better or superior in some way. I don't know. I've never felt that way. I think everybody's got their own traits that they're good at, and a lot of times it's easy, unless you throw yourself out there, and then you don't really know what you're good at, right? You really have to be by yourself for a while to understand and just serve the people around you before you really pick up on spiritual gifts and your psychic abilities to really tell where people and discern where people are coming at. Especially if you don't have the extra money to pay for services, right? Let's say, I want to become a best-selling author, or I want to be good at something, anything. If I don't grease the skids of commerce, then how would I do that? By myself, very difficult, right? Especially if you don't have any money. Everything costs money, right? I mean, just to advertise. Sure, you can use AI to advertise and focus on one group. And there's lots of software that actually utilize AI to help you guys do that. But what are the main channels for advertising? It's Instagram, Facebook, X, and LinkedIn. Those are the main ones. And they all cost money. I mean, just to run a week, ad campaign on LinkedIn is anywhere from $300 to $1,000. Most people, the average person doesn't have a lot of extra money to advertise. So you have to take risks, right? I mean, it's pretty risky to throw $4,000 in advertisements in a month, especially when the economy is going down and people don't have a lot of extra money to pay for much. So when it comes down to it, and the group collective is going to learn this spiritually, and we won't have any choice but to learn it, is to learn how to work together, create together, and treat each other equally. And then, build communities that way. If you guys know of a place like that, please let me know. Right? From a spiritual perspective, you really have to learn how to do that for yourself anyway. Set strong boundaries. I mean, I've had every kind of person come to me over the last 3 years through LinkedIn trying to sell everything out there. A lot of software developers. And the first thing I tell them now, I used to entertain them. Say, oh yeah, let's get on a call together. But now it's just like, I ain't wasting my time. I'm not doing it. And I'll say, look, I'm not in the business for paying anybody to work for me for anything. Now, if you know some software developers that want to build something together with somebody where we mutually benefit from the fruits of our labor together, great, let's do it. How many times do you think I had an answer as yes, that somebody said, that sounds like a great idea. Let's work together and build something together, because my imagination will work off of your imagination, right? We'll both put time and energy into that project. If I'm not that good at coding, which I'm generally not, for a while there, I worked on it and I just couldn't get interested in it because it's like pouring your time and energy into something that's unconscious, right? On a computer. It's just not my ball of wax. I'm not interested in pouring. It's hard enough just making a YouTube video, right? Feels like I'm pouring my energy into somebody will watch this, right? Tell me you're watching. Like, share, subscribe, hit the like button, make a comment, say anything you like. But, it is what it is, right? I don't know. I'm just here on Saturday night, just kind of blabbing. Thinking about kitchens and how to breathe. Toxic masculine energy and toxic feminine energy. We can talk about that a little bit before I go, and then I'll pull a card. My surrender card's just sitting straight up here. Toxic masculine energy, right? That's your creative energy. It's how you put yourself out there. That's your masculine energy. It's toxic if it's not providing something that the group collective needs. And so, a lot of times, and that's what creates the reader channels. Readers try to get messages from spirit and then try to give messages of what they believe the group collective needs to hear. But on the flip side, toxic feminine energy is just purely attractive without really giving anything in return, right? Now, motivational speeches and spiritual message on YouTube channels only really goes so far, right? It's not a wholesome, perfect, way of sharing energy and exchanging energy, right? And the last thing I want is for 10,000 people to feel like they need to watch me weekly to get messages for them, right? It's not good. It's not a healthy, balanced relationship. You want a balanced relationship where, I'm just providing for the people around me. There's so much. There is a real dark side to spirituality, and if you're attracting thousands of people to follow you and taking money from them, you're just siphoning energy off of somebody that's not doing what they need to do for themselves to make themselves happy. A little bit dark, right? Because you're not, money in and of itself never guarantees success for the person that's on the paying side. I there's a guy that advertises on Facebook all the time, spiritual activator. I can't remember what his name is. And so there's a lot of stuff on there. Hey, we've felt healed. I felt like I finally felt love again. But then, could you really be in a situation where you were taking money from all these people and made them feel really good, and then to put money in your own pocket, and then, right, you don't know whatever happens to them. Maybe they'll feel good for a couple weeks, but, they got to go back to the same old job where they got surrounded by people that they don't know how to deal with. I don't know. We will never be fully healed and whole until we can offer something that people can go to and never have to go back to wherever they were from. And it can't be for money. It can't be for the reason that you do it. Can't be for the thing that's being created. The reason you do it is to breathe naturally with the people that you want to surround yourself with. Right? To heal the heart. Because the heart can supply anything. The heart can supply healing, but unless you balance it with the people you're around, you'll never get to a place where we create an immortal society here on Earth, where we see immortality around us. And we will. I know we will. And it's the eventuality of what we're going through now. There is no other eventuality. Everyone else dies. My chai tea. I got a little Tillermerdoo today. It's an Irish whiskey. It's in a... First time I heard of Tillermerdoo was it's in a series of fantasy books. I was like, Tillermerdoo, huh? What's that? That's an Irish whiskey? And so I had to look it up, and it's pretty common. I just was young and never seen it before. I think it's less expensive than Jameson. Jameson is the real popular Irish whiskey, So I put a dab of Tillermerdoo in my chai tea today. Sleepy time medicine. It's Saturday night here. It's been beautiful. We've had pretty good weather. It was a little colder today. But I'm going to pull an oracle card. I just want to get on here and just blab to you guys for a little bit and just see how everybody's doing. Tell me how you're doing in the comments, because I really do care. I don't want to... I like to hear people, and, if you're struggling, that's okay. It's part of the thing, right? You just ground... Get a lot of rest. Get as much rest as you can. Don't feel like you need to just go. Just take the time to take care of yourself, and whatever you have to do to take care of yourself and feel good about yourself, just do that. Celestial teacher. Be the celestial teacher in other people's lives. Teach people how to breathe in and out together with one another, and love them regardless of whatever they're going through. Don't judge them, because, everyone's trying to understand why, even the people that are heads of companies, CEOs, and the middle management people. They're a lot of times they view themselves as so attached to the external reality, and until they realize that it was all just an illusion, and it was built by a system that wanted to pull you into that, creating an image about yourself that wasn't real. It takes a long time to come to terms with that. And then which direction are you going to go once you learn that? That's one of the hardest things. That's why I become spiritualist. And so you open up your spiritual abilities and just start trying to listen to what other people need. But in the end, you don't want to be somebody's gatekeeper. Nobody does, right? You want to be there when somebody needs help, but you don't want to be the person that somebody has to come back to all the time, every time they need help. That's not what we're here for, right? We're here to live together and love one another the way we want to be loved. So, love you guys. Have a beautiful day. And I don't know what'll make the next video. I just never know. But when I feel the calling, I will make a video. Bye for now.